Hey friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and we've got a fixed blade today, and this is the Tomahawk by Artisan Cutlery, also sold by CJRB, but it's branded Artisan Cutlery. I think it was 2016, I looked it up a few days ago, that I reviewed the original Tomahawk folding knife, and I think you can still get them. That video is pretty old. That is the HEZ-1815P. This is the 1815B. Comes three ways. The only difference is that little extra liner in there. You can get it in white, red, or orange. I got the white version, and D2 steel on the blade. Fairly thick, and yeah, we're gonna review it today. Well, for you, it's all gonna be in one video. I'm recording this intro way early because I'm gonna do some testing that I think might do some damage to this knife. I don't like to do destructive testing, and I don't intentionally do destructive testing. I do like real world testing on all the knives that I review. I've had a few people who watch my videos and say, well, hey, he doesn't show any cutting with his videos, so he isn't cutting with them and stuff. No, I don't show cutting on my videos because, to be totally honest with you, cutting in videos shows much more about the skill of the person doing the cutting, often, usually, not always, than the actual device itself. Somebody who knows what they're doing with the knife can get it to do just about anything they want it to do. And how it looks on video, you know, it could be that they're exerting tremendous effort and skill and dexterity and technique. And it could be that they're just cutting through the stuff and it looks pretty much the same on video. I know it's more dramatic, it's more appealing, it's more visually interesting to watch stuff cutting. This channel wants to tell you about the knife itself and not so much about the person handling the knife. That's the premise. That's the reason why I show very little cutting in this video. I am going to show a little bit of chopping with this, a little bit of wood interactions with this, because I think a number of people, if they get this knife, they're going to use it a little bit like a fro. They're going to use it for batoning, for example. And I'm going to do that too. And my major, I know this is a long intro, my major question about this knife is Artisan Cutlery doesn't tell you what this coating is. And it doesn't, I don't know, I've got a feeling, I've got a sense that this coating is not very durable, but we'll find out. So let's go to the tabletop. We'll take a close look at what it looks like in pretty close to new condition. I have used it a bit, but it looks like it's in new condition. And then, you know, I'll use it for several days more energetically, let's say, and then I'll continue the video with that footage. So this will all be in one video. So stick around. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Those things really do help. Let's get on with it. All right, this is what you get out of the box. I did an unboxing video. You can go back and look at that if you want to. We've got a taco style sheath, basically a Kydex sheath, and we've got these three holes here for these screws. So this belt loop, sort of like a J-hook belt loop, it works okay. You can adjust it in three different spots over here, and you can rotate it if you want to. We've seen this belt clip on a CJRB knife that I reviewed about a year ago, maybe not quite a year ago. I'll link it up here. So you can take a look at that in more detail if you want to, but you can't really place it somewhere else. The sheath's got a little drainage hole right there, so that's a good thing. We don't have a big push-off hump here, like folded up, but it's plenty big enough there to get your thumb on there to push off, so that works well. It's a decent light sheath, and it works okay. These screws here, what is this? Yeah, T8 screw there, and T8 screws across here. So you just need a T8 driver, and let's just double check these. These are T8s as well. So, and we'll take the handle scales off later on in the video. The knife, what do we got? We've got, they call this the Tomahawk, and it's only available with this black coating, and I think that's going to be a disappointment to me. Let's put that on the screen right there, because yeah, I think that coating is going to get damaged. They got a smaller version of a knife that looks somewhat similar than this. It's a little stockier in every way, called the Osprey. I have not reviewed that. I don't know if I will or not. That one's available, I think, in a stone wash, or at least a satin, so it doesn't have any coating on it. We've got fairly thick steel. I'll do all the measurements later on, but let me just look on my list right here. The thickness of the blade, yeah, 4.78 millimeters, 0.188. So 0.188 of an inch, what is that in these other kind of measurements? Yeah, it looks like it's about not quite 3/16 of an inch thick. So 50% bigger than an eighth of an inch, roughly. And it's not super thin at the edge, but it's not thick either. It's not bad. It's, you know, thicker back here than it is up here. And I'll give you all those measurements later on. We've got a forward grip, a forward choil there, and it is big enough, just barely big enough for me to be okay with it. So, you know, to do cutting like this, that works okay. If you're going to do a forward choil like this, I'd prefer it to be just a little bit bigger. Doesn't need to be much bigger, but just a little bit bigger. This is video editor Jake. I've come back. This is a couple days later, editing the video, and I want to change or add to my comments about this forward choil. Yeah, it'd be nicer if it was bigger if I wanted to keep it, but no, I don't think I even mentioned that. I don't like it. I don't want it there because primarily this edge here, this is thick. This is almost a millimeter thick behind the edge. This is not a good edge for doing, you know, delicate little whittling kind of tasks anyways. If this was thin, like if this was like 20 thou, 25 thou even, yeah, maybe like 0.5 millimeter thick right behind the grind, maybe, but this is closer to 1 millimeter back here. Just bring it all the way back. Give me a sharp edge up to here, and then if I want to use it that way, you know, I can just hold it in the normal grip and use it that way. Because what you're also doing, you're not taking off a lot of steel here because, you know, that extra steel here, it's pretty thin, so it's not adding a lot more strength, but, you know, keep this area as strong as you can if you're going to use it the way I'm going to use it, like basically like a fro, like for batoning and stuff like that, chopping kind of stuff, impact kind of stuff. Keep it as strong as you can. Don't take this steel away. That's my suggestion for, you know, if anybody from Artisan Cutlery CJRB is watching this. Forward choils just aren't as useful as people think they are, and on a fixed blade, I don't like it. Personally, I don't like the idea of a forward choil like that. Now back to your regularly scheduled review. And then we've got the G10 handle. We've got a lanyard back here, 2 screws holding it together, G10, and then, you know, your colored G10 in between, white, red, or orange, like I said. Oh, I forgot one little thing. You do have a little bit of a swedge up here, just a little decorative touch, just to focus up here, just to make it look a little more appealing than without it. It does take a tiniest bit of weight off, not a problem. Balance on this knife is right about at that screw. Yeah, there it is. That's with this lanyard on it. So yeah, the balance point's pretty good. The handle's got rounded edges. It's quite comfortable. The lanyard, it's a nice touch, but it's a decorative handle. It's not a useful handle. I've got another video. I'll also post it up here and down below in the comments on how I prefer my lanyards to be and why I prefer them that way on fixed blade knives for the way I carry them. I'm going to try to retie this one in that method, but this is how it comes from the factory. So if you want to know what it looks like from the factory, this is your last chance of looking at that, because I'm going to untie it and use it the way I use it, or put on a different lanyard that you'll see later on in the video. Holding it like that, that's a really solid hand feel. And I just finished cutting that feather stick that I didn't have the recording on, and it's getting a little bit dull, but it's still cutting okay. Let's try it closer to the tip. Takes a little more strength in the hand, but that edge is in a little bit better shape. So yeah, cuts quite well, feels good in the hand. It's a decent size, decent weight, but it's definitely an outdoors knife. This is not a good indoor knife like a kitchen knife or anything. By the time this video comes out, you will have seen my video about this belt. If you're watching this before May 17th, maybe even on May 17th, you can win one of these belts. This is made by Popov Leather. In any case, anything you buy from them, even if it's on sale, you can get an additional 20% off if you use my code popovleather.com/Canadian20. It'll be linked down below, so you can just use it directly, or you can copy it off the screen if you want to. But this is how the belt sits, how the sheath sits on my belt. This is an 1.5-inch belt, just fits. A wider belt's not going to fit. Yeah, it's okay. I don't like a fixed one like this. I'd rather have it be a little lower and a little more dangly. So maybe you can adjust that yourself if you just have to add on parts, but that's how it's going to sit on the waist the way it is. You have to, arch my elbow up a little bit weird, to get such a long knife to click in, but it's definitely usable that way. So here it is after my testing outside. Now, I didn't do an awful lot of testing outside, but maybe I'll turn this light off, see? So that shows it a little bit better depending on the way I hold it. Yeah, because black lights to glare a lot. Anyhow, like this, you can see I washed it already, so the coatings wore thin in a few places. On this side, you can see it, here, it's quite wore off right there and up here. I didn't do a lot of cutting right here. I just didn't do a lot of fine cutting. I did some when I was using it in the house, in the kitchen and stuff. It's not a good knife in the kitchen. I cut some roast up, I cut some veggies up, all kinds of stuff. It's just not the right kind of knife for that. It's just too heavy to start with to be fun to use in the kitchen for a while. And yeah. It's not great for that. Of course, you can use it for that. This could be like a camping, if you were camping, you had to do some food prep, it'll certainly do the work for you. Yeah, okay, let's go over all the sizes, dimensions, and those specs on this thing. 333 grams, that's with the factory lanyard. That's what, 13.11 ounces for this. This is 102 grams, 4.01 ounces, 4 ounces. So altogether, 435 grams, 17.12 ounces. Like I said, it's not a light knife. The sharpness from the factory, I got a score of 330 bests. That's actually 5 tests. I tested it at 5 points and averaged out the score. All of them were right around that, between 300 and 350, 330. So it wasn't sharpened the best, and I did strop it a little bit before I did any of my testing, but I didn't reprofile the edge or anything. The grind angles on this are a little wonky in this last section back here, but it's pretty good up there. Outdoor knife like this, D2 steel, I'd probably sharpen it between 18 and 20 degrees per side, depending on how I was planning on using it. If I was using it a lot like a fro, that is to baton with, I'd probably do 25 degrees per side, to make it behave more like a hatchet. That'd make it a whole lot more durable, but you don't need a super sharp edge when you're, doing a lot of batoning. So, yeah, see, I got distracted again. I was doing the measurements. The sharp length of this, so between my thumbnails right there, that is 141.0 145.1 millimeters, that's 5.71 inches, so 5 3/4 inches. Blade length from the tip to the closest spot on the handle right there, that is 158.2 millimeters, which is 6.23, so 6 1/4 inches in blade length. The handle length, you know, between my thumbs right there, 140.1 millimeters, 5.52, so 5.5 inch handle. The thickness right down the middle, because it's thickest down the middle, it is 3D milled. You can sort of see the grain lines there. So that section right there, and on that side right there, that's the thickest spot. 17.5 millimeters, 0.69 of an inch. So it's not that thick for an outdoor, you know, chopping kind of knife. The handle depth, that's this way within the handle, the widest point, 31.6 millimeters, 1.24 inches right there, and a bit less back up in here. The grip area between my thumbnails, so not counting that forward choil, it's about 12 centimeters, about 4 3/4 inches. Extra if you use that forward choil. The total length of this knife from the very tip to the heel of this handle, 298 millimeters, 11.73 inches, so 11 3/4 inches in the hand. That's, yeah, not bad. Let's see, where do you find this? If you buy it from Artisan Cutlery or CJRB, their websites, it is $89.97. Actually, CJRB's got it for $83.97 right now. That's US. So yeah, it's cheaper on the CRJB website. So check out both if you want to use those. Those sites will ship just about anywhere in the world. I got mine from White Mountain Knives, but they don't have this listed anymore. You can always search for it there if you want to. And if you find it, get 10% off with coupon code CCE, Canadian Cutting Edge. Knife Center and Blade HQ have it for $89.98 US. In Canada, you can get it cheaper because our dollar isn't worth as much. $109.99, which is like getting $5, $6 off US. So it's a little bit cheaper in Canada than it is in the United States. I think Blades Canada's got the listings for all 3 colors. Yeah, so there you go. Let's take this thing apart. Oh, I didn't mention I did get a little bit of scratches on the metal right there. Where's my other T8? Oh, I got it upstairs, so let's use this one. And let's see, is it gonna spin? Yeah, they're spinning along. I haven't tried to take this apart before. I don't like that. Free spinning pins, that means you need 2 screws. So let's put one T8 there. Do I have my short T8? My short bit instead of my long bit? Anyhow. By the way, this is a really cool tool, finger bit from Skiff Works. Watch my video on that. I got a discount code over there as well. I got a discount code for a whole bunch of stuff. You can find it in the video description or even in the comment section below. I've got a whole lot of discount codes. I think I got 13 different places that you can get discounts on. And let's see. Oh, well, okay, that doesn't matter. Got that out there. Doesn't matter which side comes out. And let's take this one off. So there you go, that's off. There you go. They got one little hole there that was probably used for machining, so a very solid piece of steel in there. And yeah, it's gotten a little bit dirty. But there you go. Decently made. Happy with that. Big chunk of D2. So there you go. What do I think of this knife? Well, I think it's got limited use, but if you want it for that limited use, it certainly works as a fro because of how thick this is. You know, that's what did I say? 4. Did I read that number off to you? I think I skipped that. I skipped a whole line there. Blade depth, right up here, 36 millimeters, 1.42 inches. Blade thickness, almost 5 millimeters, 4.78 millimeters, 1.88 of an inch. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video. And the thickness behind the grind, so the edge, how thick is the D2 not counting that apex grind, the sharpening grind. Near the tip here, it's 0.81 millimeters, 32 thousandths. And at the heel here, it's 1 millimeter, that is 39.5 thousandths thick. So it's thick right there, which is, yeah, well, for a knife like this, it's going to be seeing some impact and stuff. You just want to have more strength. And it was good because there's no chips in that edge. It's nicely survived all the testing that I did. Now, I didn't do super abusive testing. I just don't believe in that. I believe in testing a knife the way it's going to be used. Yeah, they did use some kind of thread locker in there. That's why it was a little tricky to get out. Like I said, watch that belt video if you want to win a belt. And that is before May 17th, maybe May 18th. We'll see. It all depends on when I get around to it. So there you go. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. All right, now let's put this thing back together again. I wish they didn't do that. They should have had round, D-shaped pins and D-shaped holes. That would have been a whole lot better. Just doesn't make sense to me why they do that. Like, I know it's not a big deal, but you got screws on here so that people can take it apart. You know, if they use the knife, they get it dirty in there or something, they want to take it apart. They want to be able to get at everything, and making it a little extra tricky for them. You know, Artisan Cutlery, you're not a super budget brand, although this is not an expensive knife. I know some of you are still watching this. Most of you are gone. But that's okay. I don't mind if you're gone, and I don't mind if you're watching. I just have to put this thing back together anyways, so I just left it playing. Snug that up a little bit. Doesn't need to be super tight. I'll probably be keeping this thing, but who knows? I do need to do a knife sale. I know I've been talking about it for like a year and a half and doing a sale of some of my sharpening stuff. Some of you guys probably think he's just full of hot air. Maybe I am. I don't intend to be full of hot air, but maybe I am. But I think I might keep this one long term and use it as a fro. Oh, I didn't mention, that doesn't really matter, but just using it as a fro, as a batoning tool. It did mar up the spine just slightly as well. Yeah, it's okay. See you next time, friends.